We'll call the meeting of the Greenwood Fire Department Merit Commission to order on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024 at 4 p.m. First order of business is roll call.
Don Fouts,
Here.
Steve Dunn,
Here.
Matt Holmes,
Here.
Mike Tapp,
Here.
and Cindy Reiner, who's absent.
Next order of business would be approval of the minutes from February 15th, 2024. These were emailed out by Kim several weeks ago. Any questions or suggestions for amendments to the minutes as presented?
No, I will make a motion to approve as submitted.
Approve the minutes as submitted by Mike Tapp, second by
Second.
Don Fouts. Further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved as presented. Under old business, we have nothing on the agenda. Any old business from the fire chief?
No, sir.
Old business from the city attorney?
No, sir.
Old business from the recording secretary?
None.
Old business from the commission members? I'd like to make sure we cover our bases. Seeing none, we'll move to new business. We have a full-time hiring process. Chief Michelle is going to run through a summary of the changes that were presented to us. The city attorney did send us a red line version, but I asked Chief Michelle to kind of run a summary of what was changed.
Thank you, board. So one of the things I think is important to outline is what we're trying to accomplish with having an uncertified or an open process. So it would be a certified and uncertified process. Already, I can tell you, we're already seeing the benefit of soliciting uncertified and certified applicants through social media outlets. As of this morning, we had 270 letters of interest already for this upcoming process that we plan on starting sometime in April. So we are kind of seeing that. The other part of this is to give a lot of different facets of our population the opportunity, just the opportunity to be a Greenwood firefighter. And so, like I've mentioned before, there's a retired military veteran out there. There is, a roofer that maybe doesn't want to be on that roof any longer. A teacher that maybe doesn't want to be in a profession, maybe thinks that maybe she or he has chosen the wrong profession. This gives them the chance, and then gives us the opportunity to train them up to the state requirements, but also train them one time on the Greenwood Fire Department way of doing things. And so I think that's important. So there are some prerequisites that we've redlined in the packet or in the rules. One is a prerequisite for an NFPA or state certified firefighter 1 and 2 certification. I'd like to have that removed. That way we can have that open process. And then there's the other, that is a state of Indiana Mercy medical technician, basic, commonly known as EMTB certification, to have that removed. So this opens the process, and again, it's going to give the Greenwood Fire Department the ability, our training division, and a lot of our fire officers and firefighters to train these individuals. We have a significant class coming up, more than likely starting that application process some point in April. We look to hire at least 12 additional firefighters in that process. We have 3 starting next week, and then we have an additional, with the 12 at this point. We have 1 other open position at this point, so 18, at least 18, for a total of 21 new firefighters. This also is an opportunity for our department to get additional training hours, work with our new folks, and really get that knowledge and make sure we're sharing that knowledge and get accustomed to our new folks to make sure that they're going to fit in, that they're going to be properly trained, and where they would go in our operational services. So we do have a couple other things. There is in I believe number 5. Well, I'll just say the Fire Merit Commission shall review and approve specific testing components used for the written test and structural or interview prior to their use upon initiation of the hiring process. We are looking to partner with Public Safety Answers, which is a recruitment and testing platform. We believe, and we've done our research, it's a validated test, it's a vetted service. I've talked to several chiefs across this state who have used it. Clark County, Nevada, which is Las Vegas Fire Department, has used it. Phoenix Fire Department has used it. Scottsdale Fire Department has used it, and they've all had a successful application process. And South Bend is going to use it once again for the second time. So we do believe it's a good process, firm for us. The other part is with such a large recruitment class, it's going to be necessary for us to make sure we get those spots filled, that we don't just have 20 applicants and then we need 18 filled. So those are important things, and I think we're really starting to accomplish our goal. Again, we had 270, we've not even started the national recruiting process yet. So we hope to have one of the biggest we've ever had for applications. So, and then the other part that I kind of thought we probably should clean up is phase one of the selection process. Experience at Greenwood Fire Department was 20% formally, but when you go to the phase two and phase three, the percentages only added up to 80%, and Greenwood Fire Department added up to 20%. So what I'd like to see done is that the written and the oral test be 100%, and then on top of that, these are advanced certifications, which is going to be really important for us because as we hired over 20 people this year, 75%, a little over 70, could be 70 to 75% of our department will have 5 years or less experience at Greenwood Fire Department. Okay, that doesn't mean they don't have previous experience, but it does mean at Greenwood Fire Department. So it's going to be really important for us to find folks with driver operator certifications, people that can pump, and not only pump, but drive that fire engine, and also the aerial truck. We're getting a new tiller this year. It's going to be really important for us to have some experienced paramedic. It speaks for itself. That's an advanced certification. Currently, we last year in 2023, we were on over 9,100 calls. About 86% of those are EMS calls, EMS based. I think it is really important for us to have as many paramedics as we can. Currently, we don't have an ALS service as we're transporting contracted seals, but it also we get into situations where we have complicated motor vehicle accidents, complicated medical scenes, and these folks here that are highly trained are experts in that. So I think everybody in this room wants to have the most highly trained expert if we have that medical emergency. So the other one that I think is important is military service. So look at 2 points, raw points on top of the 100%. So this will give them, if let's just say if we had 100 points in this system and someone were to receive an 80%, well, they had 80 points. Now if they had 2 certifications, now they're at 84. It gives them a really good shot to move on in the process and be hired by us. So it's just another way of doing it, but it's a raw point that goes on top of that overall raw score. So the written test, I'd like to see that at 40%, and then the oral interviews at 60%. The written test is a high school equivalency test with a behavioral component. We think it's going to be a validated test. It's going to be important for somebody to do well on a written test, but written tests don't always equate to who's going to be a really good firefighter. So I think the oral and then some of these pass fails really will help us to pick the best candidates for the Greenwood Fire Department. Any questions?
Any questions for the chief about the process in general or the changes being proposed today?
No,
Makes a lot of sense.
he was answering all the questions I was coming up with as we were going. Sure.
prior to a motion and a vote, I think I said it at the last meeting, Chief. Time for a change, time to catch up with what we need to do out there for the department's recruitment efforts and bring them on. So I applaud you and the staff and the team and the department as a whole for taking the time and looking for a better alternative. So I think it's due time, so.
Well, pending, motion for approval and the timeline discussed, with April, I presume Public Safety Answers is ready to move on that timeline as we go with kind of the commission timeline of an approval and a notification, and, public posting for the required amount of time and such to move on that.
Yeah, that's correct. So I've put Chief Harrell as point of contact to work with Public Safety Answers. He's our division chief of training. I think he's doing an excellent job. We have 30 days. Let's say this is hypothetically this is approved today for amendment. Then we would have 30 days for this to become rule, and then we're set. We're probably not going to go April 6th because we have this little thing called the solar eclipse that's happening around that time. And so we have an anomaly. So I think more than likely we put it out after the solar eclipse because we're going to be all hands on deck. And I don't think that's going to be something we're going to try to navigate during that time. But once that, so let's just say hypothetically that April 10th would start that, then we're looking at a 30-day testing date. So it's an online-based platform along with their first structured interview that our folks will put the questions in. It's about a 3 to 5 minute interview per question. And then once those are selected, they're graded, weighted. Again, they have to have a 70% to pass the written test. I think that's important. It's state-based. I didn't come up with it. It's just the best practices of the fire service because you have to have a 70% to pass your firefighter 1, firefighter 2, EMT. So we want to make sure that we don't have somebody that maybe we move on in the process that might not be able to pass one of those standardized tests. And again, so once they have the 70% score, at least on that first interview, we'll bring them in for the in-person interviews. And one of the things I talked to our Chief Farrell and Chief Coy is that if we do have 100 or more people, we may be looking at multiple weeks of these interviews as well, because there's only so many people you can fit in a day. Right. And when you have those many interviews over the course of the day, sometimes they start looking the same.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. So we want to make sure we're making good decisions. So ideally, I think that we could possibly, if this all goes through and we move it as fast as we can at the speed of government, then I'm looking at probably a September, October start date for these 18 or so folks.
Chief, is this a contracted agreement with the vendor? Like, is it a year-long?
So
contract?
I think that's a great question. One of the questions that I had, we've used FSPI in the past, which is a fire police type of standardized test. That's very well vetted. In my career, I've used it before in Wilmington as well. It's about $46 per person. We've always historically paid for that. This, along with the recruiting aspect and the testing aspect, is $41 per person. So we've budgeted for those types of numbers in anticipation for a larger recruit class. We do have a contract that we have that will basically say that we're doing business with you, but there is no annual subscription or anything like that. It's literally as many applicants as we get, and that's what we'll pay for.
Okay. Thank you.
The 200 plus people that you mentioned that kind of expressed interest now, are you going to just holding those, and then when you're operational with Public Safety Answer, you would just redirect them to there to begin that process along with any new recruitment that may take place from the efforts of?
That's correct.
Okay.
Chief Harrell and Tyler Swartzen, who does a lot of this as well. Tyler's been taking in these and made a website that they can go to and put their essentially their email and their information, and then it will automatically notify them and send the link to that public safety answers for that testing. So he's our IT person, and he does a great job. I don't know how he does it, but we put it in play, and I'm confident that that's exactly what will happen. So
That makes sense, thank you.
Any other questions of the chief? No. We would entertain a motion on the proposed changes to the rules of procedure.
Yeah, I would make a motion to amend Article 3 of our rules of procedure, Section A.2 prerequisites, and Section 7 the selection process to provide for the open hiring process as presented and recommended by Chief Michelle.
Motion by Matt Holmes, second by Don Fouts. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 4-0. Oh, I have a procedural question. Back to number 5 that Chief Michelle was talking about, Fire Merit Commission shall review and approve specific testing components to be used. Should we approve a motion to authorize Public Safety Answers to be our testing and structured oral interview contractor?
The previous was not in there. The previous one that we used was not in there.
FSPI.
Yeah.
You usually don't go into that much detail. It's like you do the components, they come and say, this is who work directly.
Authorizing the chief to do it is
Yeah.
very good. I just want to make sure we weren't procedurally missing a step.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make, that's why I brought that up. I want to make sure of that too. So, yeah.
Okay, chief, anything else?
nothing else. I appreciate it, board.
Thanks, Chief.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Anything else from you, Sean,
No, sir.
from the commission?
Well, I do. If we can go back for just a quick minute and talk about the day of the eclipse. From a business standpoint, you know where I'm coming from. We are pretty excited about that, but also understand there's going to be a massive humanity in Greenwood and Franklin. What kind of suggestions, what are we doing to prepare?
So from the fire department standpoint, we have had meetings also with the police chief and the police department and the mayor's office. One of the things that we're going to do from the fire service standpoint here in Greenwood is we will up what we've used as a feasibility study. It's a squad. Its primary mission is to capture 90% of the 100% of EMS calls in place of the engine. It's an SUV. It's 2-person staffed. So we're going to put that out. It worked very, very well from November to early January. We captured about 85% of that call. Our goal was 90%. That also was on average, you have outliers here and there, but on average, 79.5 seconds faster response than the average engine. It'll also be accompanied by the ambulance service as well. So we don't really lose anything. We gain a lot. The engine and the ladder are much more expensive to operate an hour, over $1,000 more an hour. But we're gonna upstaff that, and the thought process is to put a MRV, a mobile emergency response vehicle, downtown here that we have for the festivals, and then each 4 of the stations would be outfitted with a squad with 2 personnel. And during that time, we'll upstaff during that weekend and then also on that day. So we're expecting a lot of traffic.
I read a news report that in the Midwest as a whole, they're expecting 5 to 7 million tourists to be coming into the Midwest, several states in the Midwest as a whole. That's incredible.
The numbers I'm hearing in Johnson County are 250 to 500,000.
Yep.
Depending on what the weather looks like.
Where?
Crazy stupid.
Yeah. If I had my druthers, I would be south fishing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
anything else from the commission?
Yeah.
Kim, anything else from you?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing no further business, we'll stand adjourned at 4:20.
Big ones.